Alright, so I've got another rant. And today's rant is about people who take things too seriously, and they don't understand that when you make a generalization, you don't mean it in a literal sense. Like, let me give you an example. You know how there's kind of this meme about Subaru owners being, lesbians, basically. Now, that doesn't mean that people actually unironically believe that every Subaru owner is a lesbian. No one actually thinks that. It's just that the running joke about Subaru owners is a generalization that is a bunch of like lesbians who live in Vermont and they put a bunch of bumper stickers on their Subarus. We've all seen this sort of archetype on the road. You've seen it somewhere. It's like a 2004 Subaru Outback with a shitload of, like leftist-leaning coexist, that kind of sticker. Nothing against this type of person, by the way. That's just kind of the stereotype of Subaru owners on the road. But when I make a generalization like that based on a meme or some kind of running gag or joke about a certain kind of thing, some people will just get really pissy and think that you actually think that means everyone who drives a Subaru is actually a lesbian, and there's no other kind of person who drives a Subaru. I mean, I guess the other generalization about Subaru owners is that they're like really outdoorsy people or something like that. Like they would go hike the Appalachian Trail. Which, again, nothing wrong with that kind of person. It's just, in fact, I would maybe even consider myself to be somewhat along those lines, But that's just the joke. It's a generalization. It's not meant to be taken literally. But I've noticed that there are some people who, when you make these types of generalizations or memes about something, they just kind of give you this weird blank NPC stare, like they have no idea what you're talking about. And I have a friend who's like that. Like he can't read between the lines. He can't like communicate in terms of generalizations. He can only communicate with you if you are very, like, literal with him. And, maybe I'm being an asshole here, and maybe he's, like, autistic or something like that. And because I know there's certain kinds of autistic people who they're incapable of, like, understanding stuff that's not, like, very literal and straightforward. They can't do allegories. They can't do references. They can't do sort of broad generalizations. They have to, and then they'll turn it into an argument, and they'll pick apart the semantics of that. And it's like, dude, I didn't literally mean everybody, And by the way, this could be taken in a lot of ways where, like, some people could make that about, like, some sort of racist argument or something. Like, oh, every person of this race is like this, which that's kind of a different thing than what I'm talking about. That's just being a bigot, in my opinion. But there's also such a thing as, like, running gags and stereotypes that don't really have to do with anything related to bigotry, and that's kind of more along the lines of what I'm referring to. But anyway, I basically got recently called out by this one person who was like, I think I said something about all these like Subaru WRX drivers or like Honda Civic drivers being like, vape lord edgy dudes who like to soup up their Honda Civics. About those kinds of people with the slammed to the ground cars with full bolt-ons and mufflers and supers and turbochargers and all that stuff. those types of dudes, if you ever met a bunch of those dudes, they're always, I mean, not always, but they're a lot the same kind of dude. It's like very dude bro hoonigan culture. And when I mention this kind of stereotype to most people, they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like a specific kind of douchebag, which, by the way, nothing against car guys. I actually like cars. I think tuning cars is a cool thing, but we all know there's that sort of stereotype about the stereotypical dude in that community of JDM tuner bros. You know, anyone who's been paying attention, we know about that kind of guy. And it's just kind of funny to joke around about. It's not a very serious thing, but it is what it is. It's kind of like a douchey a character archetype that's easy to make fun of, right? And I recently got called out by a person that I know who's like, who genuinely had no idea, because I think it's the kind of person who's just been living under a rock for a while, as in they don't use social media very much, which honestly good on them for that, because they, you know, using social media is pretty much brain rot, and we all know it these days. But at the same time, if you disconnect completely, you're not gonna know what the fuck is going on in the current culture. And so when I bring up a meme that's based on some kind of stereotype about a certain type of person, you know, like 200 IQ Rick and Morty fans, well, this person would just look at me, just give me that blank look, and recently he called me out and he said that none of my takes make sense and he has no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm like, it was never meant to be taken that seriously in the first place. Like, no one actually thinks that everyone who's watched Rick and Morty is like that. No one actually thinks that everyone who drives a modified Honda Civic is actually a douchebag necessarily. It's just kind of the running joke about that kind of lifestyle and activity. It's not, you know what I mean? It's a generalization. It's not meant to be taken super seriously. But this dude was like, no, your takes are all trash and you put people in these little boxes or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, what? I didn't make these boxes. It's just a running joke that most people know. It's not my fault that you don't know about it. But, you know, some people apparently who don't know about this stuff, they'll just get, like, triggered at you. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird, but I feel like it's a difference. It's probably just a difference in the daily vocabulary of a person who keeps up with meme culture versus the vocabulary of a person who does not keep up with meme culture. And I get how that's kind of cringe, because social media is brain rot and you should stay away from it, but like, don't get mad at me because I'm aware. You know what I mean? I don't know. Am I, here's the question of the video. Am I the asshole here for being aware of memes and talking about them? Because, you know, 99% of other people who I would bring up the 200 IQ Rick and Morty meme, I mean, that's an old example, obviously. I'm using a very old example that most people know about. But usually when I bring up that meme, people know what I'm talking about. It's just a joke. It's not serious. That's my take. But, you know, let me know in the comments, is that a shit take? Am I the asshole here? Am I making too many generalizations? Has social media brain rotted me and I'm just taking it all too seriously? I don't think I'd take it that seriously. I don't think it was meant to be taken seriously to begin with. But people who don't understand generalizations and sarcasm and irony and all that stuff seem to be kind of prone to that, like, boomerish NPC stare where they just misunderstand you, and sometimes it seems almost like they're intentionally or selectively, like, interpreting your words. But I don't know. Am I the asshole? Leave your opinion in the comments whether or not I'm the one who's actually in the wrong here. Anyways, till next time, that is the end of the rant.